producers up the pressure on Ottawa. Is there hope tariffs on Canadian canola can be lifted by China? A first-of-its-kind study in Saskatoon. Why researchers are looking at the bone health of children. And the Snowbirds grace the sky over Saskatchewan for the last time this season.
This is CTV News with Chantel Saunders.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the long-awaited verdict in the trial of a man charged in the death of a Saskatoon woman. Late this afternoon, we learned Roderick Sutherland was found guilty of manslaughter, unlawful confinement, and offering an indignity to human remains in the death of 30-year-old Megan Gallagher. During his trial, court heard Gallagher died inside Sutherland's Saskatoon garage while she was tied to a chair. The jury deliberated for 2 days before reaching its decision. Inside the courtroom, Gallagher's family wept as the first guilty verdict was read, holding each other and crying as the remaining two followed. Sentencing will be the next step in the case scheduled for December. We will have more on today's verdict and hear from the family coming up in just a few minutes. Farmers in Saskatchewan are hoping the federal government can quickly remove trade barriers to get canola flowing to China once again. As Kitten reports, getting canola out of Saskatchewan isn't as straightforward as it might seem.
Harvest is wrapped up in many parts of the province, but farmers are still waiting for meaningful updates on Chinese canola tariffs.
It's just not as easy as a stroke of pen to get rid of, but we are frustrated with the lack of support.
Canola prices have seen a sharp drop since China announced a tariff on all canola products this summer, a further response to Canada's tariff on electric vehicles last year. And it's creating even more unease this time of year for an industry surrounded by uncertainty.
And this is the first year in 55 years that I've farmed that we have never sold a bushel of canola off the combine.
Last week, the Chinese ambassador to Canada said China would lift its tariffs on canola if Canada did the same to its EV tariffs. Prime Minister Mark Carney has been non-committal as he weighs potential impacts with Canada's relationship with the United States and Ontario's auto sector along with the canola industry out west.
It's almost like being in an episode of the movie Hunger Games.
With supply chain issues galore and political pressure and protectionism, there's no easy decision for the Prime Minister.
In this situation, it's hard to identify if there's a path that would make all parties reasonably satisfied.
SARM is calling for an end to trade barriers to restore China as a market, but Huber is heading to Ottawa to meet with the federal agriculture minister next week before things get worse.
Producers are hesitant to sell in a market that doesn't meet their cost of production.
With bins remaining full for the time being, patience is fading. Keenan Sorakan, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Saskatchewan Polytechnic is revealing more information about its recent job cuts. The post-secondary institution says it has issued 87 layoff notices to 87 full-time and part-time employees over the past few months. It says that includes faculty and professional services employees. It says 14 out-of-scope employees were laid off over the summer and that 71 vacant positions have not been filled. Sask Polytechnic says it has been facing a substantial revenue shortfall after seeing a 40% drop in international students enrolling in its programs. Last year, the federal government put a 2-year cap on international students studying in Canada as a way to ease the strain on housing, healthcare, and other services. Saskatchewan's NDP says it plans to find out why people are leaving Saskatchewan. The NDP says 52,000 people have moved out of the province since 2018. The opposition plans to meet with employers, unions, and students to find out what drives out-migration.
So we can see people face to face from different work areas and we can get their thoughts about that. And that will be really helpful for us to get a good and clear picture.
New residents moving to the province has outpaced those leaving by 4-1. Saskatchewan's population has grown by 166,000 people since 2018. It was a bit breezy out there too, but not too bad.
That's a nice one. A bit breezy. Well, you know, if you got anywhere near our alley here behind CTV, it's like it's a wind tunnel. So yes, it was a windy day. The wind is picking up as we make our way into the evening hours, and it's going to stay windy, Chantel, as we make our way into Saturday and a goodly part of the weekend, quite frankly. We're keeping our eye on this other system that's sliding through, that one system that did bring, in fact, a fair amount of rain to the Estevan-Weyburn area, but ultimately that has moved off, and we're keeping our eye on all this active weather that's sliding in from British Columbia and Alberta, already impacting other parts of our province, and we'll talk about those details later on.
A special honor today for people in our province who have shown bravery in the face of danger. Jacob Carr on the ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Saskatchewan's Lieutenant Governor Bernadette McIntyre was on hand at Government House to present Bravery Awards for deeds of heroism.
These are people who came upon a situation for the most part and had to take action on a moment's notice to save someone else's life. So there are the pinnacle of almost giving their lives to save another life.
Donna Davies of the RCMP received an award for a water rescue back in 2023 when she and 2 other RCMP members saved a mentally ill man from drowning at Last Mountain Lake.
I feel very honored. Again, this is something that I just showed up to do on my day-to-day job, and it's not something that I expect to receive. However, I'm certainly honored and appreciative of the award.
Will Rodwin was recognized for rescuing a civilian from a burning vehicle in August of 2022 near Guernsey. Rodwin's experience as a volunteer firefighter helped him in knowing how to handle the situation.
Kind of knew what I was walking into, but again, I mean, no tools, no safety equipment, no nothing like that, and to me it was just get him out of there, because I'd rather save a life than sit there and watch somebody burn.
Mark Dimterkel's rescue attempt unfortunately did not have a happy ending. In October of 2024, he came across a vehicle that had slid off the highway near Langham and into a slough. There was an unresponsive person in the front seat who Dimterkel and another citizen attempted to save but were ultimately unsuccessful.
And we did what we could to try and get them out. So, I mean, I can live with that. But to me, I've seen it and watched it just go down and done nothing. I don't know that I'd, be comfortable living with that.
A common thread among those honored, not thinking twice about risking their lives to try and save another. Jacob Carr, CTV News, Regina.
A new scanner at the University of Saskatchewan is helping researchers learn why some bones are more fragile than others. As Stacey Hine reports, the hope is that the findings will lead to earlier interventions and stronger bones.
This scanner at the University of Saskatchewan is helping researchers learn more about children's bone strength. It's being used in the Canadian Bone Strength Development Study, a national project looking at how bones grow differently in children with and without type 1 diabetes.
To scan the participant, we usually open this gauge.
Ali Razay, a kinesiology PhD candidate, works closely with the young participants.
Generally, first of all, they are so curious about the machine. I explain the machine to them, and after that they feel comfortable, and then they just need to sit still for 2 minutes.
Those couple of minutes produce detailed images of the bones and their structure. Engineers then turn that data into a digital model to test bone strength.
Basically, we can see how strong your bone is based on the images from your bone.
The project brings together experts from the College of Kinesiology, Medicine, and Engineering in an effort to better understand how to build stronger bones.
When we know more about how their bones are growing, we can develop those interventions to optimize it.
Researchers hope the results will lead to earlier interventions, boosting bone strength and improving quality of life well into adulthood. Stacey Hine, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Specially trained nurses are being added to the team that answers 911 calls. The Saskatchewan Health Authority is launching a new emergency communication nurse system in Saskatoon and Regina. The program will see 911 dispatchers transfer callers with non-urgent symptoms to nurses for further assessment. The nurses will then determine if the person needs emergency care or if another care option is best suited to help them. It's hoped the program can free up paramedics to respond to situations that require immediate help. Over time, the goal is also to ease overcapacity at emergency departments. A new production kitchen opened this afternoon that will prepare around 1,000 meals a day for students in almost 60 schools across the Saskatoon Public Schools Division. The kitchen at Lakeview Church was made possible through a federal government program as well as support from the SPS Foundation, CHEP, Lakeview Church, and the University of Saskatchewan. Saskatoon Public Schools says the kitchen will serve as a hub for preparing meals and coordinating between schools where food access is a challenge.
The new production kitchen isn't just about meals, it's about care. It's about giving families a little breathing room, making sure that kids have what they need to show up, learn, and thrive.
The Saskatoon Public Schools Division is the largest in the province with nearly 29,000 students and 3,300 staff across 58 schools. In its 55-year history, the Snowbirds have put on over 2,000 shows, thrilling crowds with their performances. Before wrapping up for their season, they had one more show for a special audience. Mick Favel takes us there.
One last flight for the 2025 Snowbirds. Friends and family gathered to watch the private show at the Snowbirds' home base, 15-wing Moose Jaw, bringing a thrilling conclusion to the Birds' season.
It was a very jam-packed schedule. We had a lot of shows in the U.S. as well. So yeah, I think incredibly proud of this season. We basically got to go to every show that we planned for, and the weather was very fortunate. I think we might have only missed one show out of the entire summer due to weather.
The day began with an investiture ceremony naming Chief Evan Tapatat of Kakawishtahoe First Nation as the new honorary colonel of the squadron. Last weekend, the Snowbirds were scheduled to be the opening act at an air show in California, but due to U.S. military aircraft being grounded because of the federal government shutdown, the Snowbirds became the headliners.
We were scheduled to be there since December, so we were ready to be there. We were just stepping up to the plate, just despite the circumstances, but we were more than happy to do it, and we're just glad to be able to perform nonetheless.
Captain Katie Clapp has been a Snowbird for 3 years. This is her final flight as a member. She says living up to past members is a common goal of the Snowbirds, and she hopes to leave a lasting impact for the ones yet to come.
Trying your best every single time, accepting errors, and then making it better as quickly as possible so you're not the one letting people down. You want to uphold the Snowbird name and what that means to yourself, to your teammates, and all of Canada, really.
Although the Snowbirds' season is now over, their off-season isn't like most. Captain Plant says right now the team is the best they've been all season, but it will soon be time to begin again. Planning for next year and forming the next team will begin in 2 weeks. Mick Favel, CTV News, Moose Jaw.
Saskatchewan's largest locally owned brewery is marking its 35th year with a big expansion.
This was absolutely more about the city of Saskatoon, the province of Saskatchewan, and producing a great product that is world-class, that's been given numerous awards over the years, and we're so proud of it. And this facility that you're going to see when you walk into it, it's something to behold.
Officials with the Great Western Brewing Company cut the ribbon on the 11,000 square foot brew house to be added to the company's existing facility. The $25 million expansion is expected to produce 550,000 hectoliters of beer annually and be operational by early next year. The brewery was originally built in 1927 as Hub City Brewing and was founded as the Great Western Brewing Company in 1990. Still to come, we'll have more on today's verdict from Court of King's bench. Also, why the Conservative leader is taking aim at the RCMP. You're watching CTV News Live from downtown Saskatoon. Thanks for staying with us tonight. Drivers could have more money in their pockets heading into the Christmas season. Gas prices are falling in the prairies, averaging 137.9 cents a liter in August. In Saskatoon, most stations are now selling regular gasoline for $113.9. But as Jeff Keel reports, despite the expectations of lower prices at the pumps, there are storm clouds that could also push them back up again.
Keith Dimitrioff says when the cost of gas spikes, his vehicle sits idle.
You just don't go out as much. That's all it comes down to. You got to watch where you go.
But lately, he has noticed the price at the pump has dropped. On Friday, some stations in Winnipeg posted gas as low as $1.14.8 and $1.15.9 per liter.
They're a little better, but I still think they should be cheaper.
And they could very well be.
And we are seeing some of the lowest gas prices across much of the prairies that we've seen really since 2021.
In Alberta, drivers are seeing some postings hovering around $1. Patrick DeHaan from Gas Buddy says by the holidays, Manitoba could see numbers close to that.
We could see some stations under 110. I don't think we'll quite get below the $1 a liter mark in Manitoba.
DeHaan says the downward trend is due to the low price of oil per barrel because of tensions between the U.S. and China and additional oil supply on the world market. This is good news for small businesses like Roadrunner Courier, where gas is a top expense for the husband and wife team.
It does impact, with the higher the cost, that's less take home for us.
They spend $120 and $150 to fill up their trucks.
With his truck, he burns a lot of gas because of the size of the truck. My truck, it's a little bit better, but it's still, I fill up every couple days, he fills up daily.
Still, there could be a short-term bump at the pump following a fire at an oil refinery in Indiana, which supplies the prairies.
This refinery glitch could impact prices, setting them higher briefly for the next week or two. And then we could eventually see kind of a retest of these low prices.
Keith Dimitrioff is hoping for a break when he fills up, but he's skeptical.
Because it fluctuates every day. They say one thing and then something else happens.
Jeff Keel, CTV News, Winnipeg.
Back to our top story now. A man on trial for manslaughter in the death of a Saskatoon woman found guilty late this afternoon after jurors deliberated for 2 days. CTV's Laura Woodward has been covering the trial and has more from Court of King's Bench.
The end to an emotional 2 weeks. Roderick Sutherland guilty on all 3 counts: manslaughter, unlawful confinement, and offering an indignity to human remains in the death of 30-year-old Megan Gallagher.
The only closure that we could ever get is if Megan was to walk through the door and give us a hug, share a meal with us, share a Christmas, share a Thanksgiving. That's never going to happen. That's been taken from us.
Inside the courtroom, the Gallagher family wept as the first guilty verdict was read, holding each other and crying as the remaining 2 followed. The trial heard the disturbing details of Gallagher's death. She was killed inside Sutherland's garage, where she was restrained to a chair. Gallagher died after plastic wrap was placed around her face. The defense says it's disappointed in the jury's verdict.
As you heard the Crown's theory of the case, unless there was an unlawful confinement, there really was no manslaughter. And so there was I think the possibility that he could be acquitted on 1 and 2 and 3, but the likelihood of conviction on number 3 was, I think, higher than the other 2, the unlawful confinement and the manslaughter.
Following the conviction, Sutherland left in handcuffs, says his bail was revoked. While the defense opposed Sutherland being taken into custody, the Crown argued the landscape had shifted after the guilty verdict, calling the details of the crime repulsive. Quote, he was involved in the confinement of a young Indigenous woman who was tortured and suffocated to death. This is an offense that has shocked the community at the highest level. The next step in the case will be sentencing, scheduled in December, when lawyers will argue how long Sutherland should spend behind bars. Laura Woodward, CTV News, Saskatoon.
The Prime Minister announced plans to beef up the border today, stating Canadians must look out for ourselves in a dangerous and divided world. Among other things, the Prime Minister pledged to hire 1,000 new border officers with the aim of cracking down on illegal drugs and guns. CTV's Judy Trin now on the border plan and the pre-budget spending promise.
But we also have a slew of other prohibited devices.
Examples of illegal weapons seized at the Niagara Falls border crossing. To thwart growing threats, the Liberal government is funding more border security agents.
During the election campaign, we were clear that our borders had to be secure so everyone in Canada can feel safe. And we promised to hire 1,000 new CBSA officers to bolster our border protection efforts.
The upcoming budget will allocate $617 million to recruit 1,000 CBSA officers over the next 5 years, a pledge made by Mark Carney while campaigning to be Prime Minister.
So how many of those boots are going to be on the ground? Are we actually waiting for the budget for this funding to come through? Because we haven't had a budget. It comes in November. So there are actually more questions than answers that we got from the minister's announcement today.
A focus will be on hiring special analysts who can identify suspects connected to organized crime, human smuggling, immigration fraud, and terrorism.
It's very promising. We have to start somewhere. It's something we've been asking for a long time. Our members will be really happy to hear that this is going to come about.
The union representing border guards says the challenges include a need to expand training facilities and provide more equipment like these X-ray machines to agents so they can do more searches.
We don't really examine rail. We examine less than 1%. We have land borders, airports, which really overuse students, where we need to get officers in those positions. It's really across the board.
Hiring these new CBSA officers are measures on top of the $1.3 billion border security plan announced last year by the Liberals under Justin Trudeau. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
The RCMP is forcefully denying allegations of political interference lobbed by Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. In an interview posted online, Poilievre accused the Mounties of shielding former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau from criminal charges, even calling the force's leadership, quote, despicable. CTV's Abigail Beeman now on the accusations of a cover-up and the blowback.
Many of the scandals of the Trudeau era should have been involved jail time.
In an interview posted to YouTube, the Conservative leader ripped into his former House of Commons opponent for the 2019 SNC-Lavalin affair and Justin Trudeau's 2016 family vacation on the Aga Khan's private island, as well as how the RCMP handled the cases.
The RCMP covered it all up, and the leadership of the RCMP is just, frankly, just despicable when it comes to enforcing laws against the Liberal government.
There's no interference. I don't take any orders from any political individual.
When the RCMP's top cop rejected cover-up claims,
I would invite M. Poilievre to meet with us and to meet with the people who run this great organization.
Pierre Poilievre said he would accept the invitation and double down.
If the RCMP commissioner is now saying that he wants to open that investigation, we're prepared to hand over all the evidence of Mr. Trudeau's criminal code violations.
In this case, the opposition leader is going a bit too far.
This political strategist says there is room to challenge and critique, but to win new voters, Poilievre may want to adopt a more moderate approach to complex issues like the state of the RCMP.
Pierre Poilievre thinks people are fired up about Justin Trudeau. He and his caucus are fired up about Justin Trudeau, but I think the public has moved on.
And to recap from the prior government, the Ethics Commissioner did find Prime Minister Trudeau broke the rules in both cases, but the RCMP said there wasn't enough evidence for a criminal offense in the SNC case. And in the case of the near decade-old vacation, even though long pressed by the Conservatives, the RCMP said it couldn't productively pursue a criminal investigation. Abigail Beeman, CTV News, Ottawa.
Donald Trump hosted Ukraine's president at the White House today. The focus, a request for U.S. Tomahawk missiles that Kyiv says are desperately needed.
Ukraine has such thousands of our production drones, but we don't have Tomahawks. That's why we need Tomahawks. But United States is a very strong production, and the United States has Tomahawks and other missiles, very strong missiles. But they can have our thousands of drones. That's why where we can work together, where we can strengthen American production.
Is that something that you would be interested in, Ukrainian drones?
We are, yeah, we would. We have a lot of drones right now. We build our own drones, but we also buy drones from others, and they make a very good drone. I mean, drone warfare has really come to the fore over the last couple of years because of this war.
After the meeting, Volodymyr Zelensky said Ukrainian and American teams are working on drones, but added he did not want to talk about long-range missiles. The U.S. president had signaled he is not ready to sell Ukraine the Tomahawk missiles. Trump says his country needs them and does not want to deplete its stock. Today, he said he believes the war can be ended soon and a decision on the missiles would not be necessary. Trump spoke to Russian President Vladimir Putin yesterday by phone, saying they agreed to meet in Budapest in a few weeks. In the UK, Prince Andrew has announced he is giving up his royal title of the Duke of York and other honors. Andrew says he and the royal family decided the continued accusations against him distract from his duties. Excerpts have been published from an upcoming posthumous memoir from Virginia Roberts Giuffre. She alleged she was trafficked by the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and had sex with the prince when she was 17. Andrew stepped away from the public life in 2019, but denied any wrongdoing. Today, he said vigorously that he denies the accusations against him. Andrew will remain a prince, which he has been entitled to since birth. All right, Jeff, about that forecast of yours.
Well, things have changed a little bit because we did not anticipate precipitation on Sunday, but it looks like we're going to get some. Let's take a look at what's going on right now. We'll talk about the details on the precipitation. Likely mostly rain, but there is a chance of some flakes in there. 9 degrees right now in Saskatoon, the same for Prince Albert, 8 in the Battlefords with a bit more cloud cover. But look at these wind speeds. They really pick up by the time we get to the Battlefords. And keep in mind, these are sustained winds. We have stronger wind gusts, so it has been a windy day throughout the region. Quick look at Saskatoon's temperature almanac today, 13 degrees, so 2 degrees above seasonal. 24, that was the record temperature on October 17th. And that was set in both 1927 and 1929. We have minus 14, also a tie. That was in 1948 and 1972. That's the cold record temperature. Sun came up at 7:35. It went down at 6:08.
Coming up, getting young people on track. Why one train club is trying to get more fans on board.
The Riders are preparing for the playoffs. Monday on Your Morning, CEO Craig Reynolds on signing leadership to extensions and the postseason fan experience.
All right, welcome back. Well, it looks picturesque. A pretty nice sky there. We had a lot of sunshine today, but boy, was it ever windy. And yes, we do have some, we'll say, inclement weather showing up on Sunday. Such that, here's the announcement. The city of Saskatoon has amended the closure of civic golf courses. So civic golf courses will be closing on Sunday. Initially, they thought they could linger into the 26th, but that's not going to happen. So Sunday is going to be the last day to use the civic golf courses. So keep that in mind. Keep this in mind. We're going to keep our eye on. There's a lot of active weather, the remnants of a typhoon moving into British Columbia. So we're seeing rain along the coast, snow in higher elevations, but some of that moisture ultimately coming our way, a low pressure area that might be impacting us. But ultimately, we've got ourselves the possibility of rain or snow or a combination as we make our way into the weekend. More details on that in just a second. So it's still breezy in Saskatoon, Prince Albert, and the Battlefords, 9 degrees right now in Saskatoon and PA, and then Battleford's sitting at 8 degrees. The hot spot today, that was Coronach at 14 degrees, 18 degrees cooler. That was Rosetown at -4. Around the province to go, the larger communities, 8 degrees in Lloydminster, Swift Current, and Yorkton, 11 in Moose Jaw, 9 in Regina, and 10 in Estevan. Into central parts of the province, not much of a temperature range here at all. 4 degrees, 6 degrees in Waskesiu, 10 in Watrous, but most locations around 8 or 9 degrees. Making our way up north, well, temperatures are not too bad for the northern part of our province at this time of year. 4 degrees in Sandy Bay, Island Falls, but it does warm up to 9 in La Ronge. Other locations basically around 6 degrees on this map. And down south, temperatures are cool in East End where they've had some rain, so 2 degrees in East End, but it does warm up to 10 in Weyburn and Carlisle. Of course, those locations have been dealing with some rain earlier overnight into today, but it has started to clear off. And temperatures otherwise on this part of our map basically around 8 degrees. So here's the futurecast. You can see the bullseye of that low cycling up into Hudson Bay. But in behind it, we still have some strong winds. Those pressure lines are quite close together. But look at what's going on in BC. You see all that moisture hammering the lower mainland, the north coast and central coast. And that's going to continue throughout the weekend. And some of that moisture is coming our way. Cloudy skies in La Ronge and Stony Rapids and Key Lake. Mainly sunny skies in Buffalo Narrows. But temperatures, for the most part, at or above seasonal values for northern areas. Lots of sunshine and temperatures of around 11 or 12 for west central Saskatchewan. In the southwest, we've got ourselves sunny conditions throughout, but wind will be the dominant feature in outlook and swift current. But again, temperatures pretty consistently around 11 or 12 degrees. That's true of southeastern Saskatchewan with mainly to partly cloudy skies, but windy conditions. And then we've got mainly cloudy skies in Melfort, 10. Windy in Watrous tomorrow, 12 degrees, 11 in Humboldt, and 7 in Hudson Bay. They are dealing with some rain showers. Mainly clear skies overnight, -1 degree, sunny tomorrow, but windy overnight into tomorrow for the Battlefords region. For Sunday, a good chance of showers, 7 degrees, a cold start to the work week. But look at this, things are warming up, they're trending upwards. So 1 week from today, expecting to be at 16 degrees, which is about 6 degrees above seasonal. Slight chance of showers tonight with windy conditions for Prince Albert. Staying windy tomorrow under mainly sunny skies with a high of 11. Dropping down to 9 with some rain expected on Sunday. Monday, a rain-snow mix in the forecast, and then trending upwards to 14 degrees 1 week from today. And Saskatoon's overnight temperature just 3 degrees, windy conditions and staying windy on Saturday. Wind gust up to around 50 kilometers an hour, so similar to today. 9 degrees on Sunday with a 40% chance of showers, a 40% chance of rain or snow or both on Monday, and a cold 5 degrees, but then trending upwards to 17 1 week from today.
Tell me what you're waiting for me. Baby, I'm a rolling stone. I got a lot of right in me, but I don't want to say
MKG, MGK, sure, pick 3 letters, Jeff. Also known as Machine Gun Kelly has been announced as the headliner for this year's Grey Cup halftime show in Winnipeg. Our Lady Peace is also scheduled to perform during this year's Grey Cup festivities between November 10th and 16th, and country music star Brad Paisley will also be headlining that festival on November 14th. The Grey Cup game kicks off November 16th in Winnipeg. Ace Frehley, the original guitarist for Kiss, Spaceman, has died. Frehley's family said he died yesterday in New Jersey following a recent fall at his home. Frehley co-founded Kiss in 1973 and became famous for his Spaceman persona and amazing guitar solos. He left the group in the early 1980s, but went on to launch a successful solo career back in the New York groove, by the way. In 2014, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with Kiss. Band members Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley said they're devastated by Frehley's passing. Ace Frehley was 74. The family of Diane Keaton has confirmed the cause of the Oscar winner's death over the weekend. The 79-year-old's death was announced on Sunday, but no cause was mentioned at the time. Now, in a statement to People magazine, Keaton's family said she died from pneumonia. They also say they're grateful for the outpouring of love and support they have received. The statement says any donation in her honor would be best directed to a local food bank or an animal shelter.
All right, Jeff, we have some picks of the day that are both near and far.
Near and far. All right. It's a segment on Sesame Street. Bring on Grover. All right. This one, first of all, comes to us from Beverly in Prince Albert. And Beverly says, there was some fog this morning by the hospital. The cranes were in the fog. And I don't know which one is which, but I do believe those cranes have names. I think one is called Dr. Crane, as in Fraser Crane. And the other one is just called Ooga Booga. They had a contest. So there you go. Some cranes in the fog there. Next one is from Scott Smith. And Scott says, this is me, my dad, Pat Smith, Stephanie, my sister, and her son. And we had lunch before my dad's eye appointment. Well, thank you, Scott, for the picture. Always nice to see 3 generations all together. And finally, from our pal, Greg Kitts. Now, Greg is one of the original 16 in the history of Great Western Brewing. I saw him at the grand opening of the new expansion last night. So he told me he's retired, and he and his wife have been doing a lot of traveling, and he sent me this picture. And yes, it's the classic Italy pose. You know, that's what he calls it. And, you know, he's right. And I know what they say, Greg, when in Rome, and I guess when in Pisa, you got to take a picture like this. So, Greg, thank you for sending that in. And if you'd like to share an image with us, you can do so by sending it to CFQC News at ctv.ca.
Still to come on CTV News, celebrating a model milestone, why one Canadian club is hoping to attract more fans to its stops.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Saskatchewan, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
An Ontario Model Railroad Club is celebrating a big anniversary. The club has been around for decades, based near London, Ontario, with several longtime members. But as CTV's Sean Irvine reports, attracting a new generation of train lovers has proven to be difficult.
The sight and sounds of trains moving down the track are met with delight. These HO model engines and cars are running on more than 500 feet of track inside the built-to-suit home of the Thames Valley Central Model Railroad Club. For folks in the Thorndale area, its existence is likely nothing new. But after 60 years of full steam ahead, the club is suddenly off track with the public.
One of the comments was, didn't know this was here. So it's been here since '98.
At this location, the club itself dates back 60 years. 25 members with an average age of 65 maintain everything you see here.
You can run here a couple of days in a row and never do the same job twice. So for me, that's the fun of the hobby for me.
But as time advances, the club is having trouble bringing in new faces. Turns out in the digital age, it's hard to break the train of thought of young people. Nick Brio, a member for 11 years, tried to involve his grandchildren.
I brought them out a few times. They loved it, but now they're getting into these digital games on their computer and tablet.
What is lost to those who opt out is the complexity of this network. Technology has advanced to the point that each train can be controlled hands-free. Some engines even respond to more than 500 commands.
It's a lot of challenges to run trains on there, and it's fun also.
It's been 6 decades of fun for this founding member. He never lost his lifelong love of model trains. For him, this railway paradise offers a return to childhood at any age.
Just takes your focus from the real world down to the miniature.
And it is here, in this place, members say these sights and sounds have the power to put you back on track.
There are many, many things in here that normally people won't even see. But we see them because we shrink ourselves down to that size.
In Thorndale, Sean Irvin, CTV News.
When we come back, getting the lead out of protein shakes, what a new report suggests, and later, the cat that earned another life.
All right, welcome back. And now let's take a look at our rural forecast for tomorrow. Anticipating warm conditions, but yes, we're expecting it to be windy as well. Meadow Lake, Spiritwood, Lloydminster, Kindersley, all with sunny skies. So it'll still be breezy. It just won't be quite as windy as it will be in places like Watrous and Outlook. Temperatures, though, fairly consistent in and around that 11 or 12 degree mark. It does cool off a little bit as we make our way eastward. We've got ourselves 7 degrees in Hudson Bay. Some of that rain showing up in the Hudson Bay area. That's still cycling off of that system. It's up in the other Hudson's Bay. Different spelling, I realize. We've got ourselves 10 degrees with mainly sunny skies in Wynyard. Down south, we get into those sunny but windy conditions throughout much of south central and southeastern Saskatchewan. 9 degrees in Canola. It does warm up to 12 in Coronach, 12 as well in Maple Creek and Leader and Rosetown. But as I say, even though places like East End, Maple Creek, Leader, and Rosetown are sunny, they will still be windy, just not quite as windy as the other places to trigger that particular icon. And what about Watson? Well, it's going to be windy, and it's going to be windy in Watson. And I told you I'd give you an update on Santa Claus weekend. Well, here it comes. Santa Claus weekend begins with Moonlight Madness on December the 5th, and then we have Santa Claus Day on Saturday, December 6th, and that includes supper with Santa. So you can find out more by going to the contacting the town office, I believe. So let's take a look at where we have 10 degrees for a daytime high, and we've got mainly sunny skies, but it is going to be a windy day in the home of the original Santa Claus Day. And that's also where plans of 1 gig are available from SaskTel.
A new report this week is raising concern about the craze over protein powder and shakes and what's being described as a troubling amount of lead found in some of them. Consumer Reports calling it a hidden risk. But some in the industry are pushing back, calling the investigation alarmist. Here is CTV's John Venavali-Rao.
Right. Yeah.
At Toronto's Studio Fitness, where they help people achieve their strength-building dreams, personal trainer Clementine Nazin often recommends protein shakes, which she drinks twice a day.
Protein is honestly your best friend for any health or fitness goals.
She says they're great for muscle recovery, and at her gym, they ensure the protein powder they use in their drinks is healthy. Concerned about the new report raising questions about brands they don't use.
They should really tackle that issue because it becomes a really important safety hazard.
Consumer Reports tested 23 protein powders and shakes, and it says over 2/3 contained more lead in a single serving than what its experts considered safe for an entire day. In some cases, lead levels were 10 times higher, an issue they've looked at before.
It's concerning that these results are even worse than the last time we tested.
Experts at Consumer Reports went so far as to say consumers may want to avoid some of the products they named and moderate their intake of others. Experts say the concern is repeated consumption over time that could build up lead in the body and cause problems.
It could lead to mood disorders, cognitive decline, kidney disease, and even reproductive problems.
The report found plant-based protein powders had some of the most lead, which is found naturally in the environment, including in soil. In a statement, an industry group pushed back, calling the report alarmist, misleading, and unscientific, adding the levels of lead flagged by Consumer Reports are far below amounts present in many foods, including some fruits and vegetables. Still, some experts say consuming protein powder in moderation is key. If you want to use them, Consumer Reports is recommending you scrutinize your protein shakes and consume them on occasion. John Venavali-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency is recalling a soup product sold in a handful of provinces, including Saskatchewan. The product in question is Initial Foods pork neck bone soup, as it may contain undeclared wheat products. The CFIA says it was sold in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, and BC. It's advising anyone who is sensitive to wheat or if they have celiac disease or other gluten-related issues not to eat it. People should either throw out the product or return it to the store they bought it from. Coming up, a measured move for a Hollywood celebrity. Then the resourceful rescuers lending a paw to one kitten.
Select Hair Services brought to you by Sage, the beauty bar.
Stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here tonight on CTV. Actor Gillian Anderson is being immortalized in wax. She is among the latest to be transformed into a wax figure by Madame Tussauds in London. But before any wax carving starts, artists take measurements to make sure the figure is as lifelike as possible. Anderson, who remembers visiting the museum growing up in London, was more than happy to help out. Her wax figure will make its debut later this year. I guess they have to be exact.
I guess so. And look, and the technology, I would think, that's available now can make things look that much more lifelike.
I would tend to agree. It's pretty cool.
A friend of mine went to a wax museum in Niagara Falls. It was the antithesis of lifelike. My goodness, the pictures were bad of the celebrities. Right. It's like, who's that supposed to be?
Maybe they didn't have the same technology to measure.
They had no technology.
All right.
No sense of perspective either.
Well, some resourceful rescuers had to get creative in their attempts to retrieve a kitten that was stuck in a storm drain. When they realized they couldn't fit into it, they used a remote-controlled car to help get the job done. They sent the toy down the drain, guiding the kitten straight into the waiting arms of a rescuer on the other end.
That's sweet.
Good thinking.
Yep.
Yeah, so if you need help.
That was groovy thinking Lincoln. There you go.
I don't know how happy he is to go in the little cage, but he's happy to be safe.
Exactly, he should be.
Yeah.
Thank your lucky stars there, kitty cat. Let's take a look at our numbers for tomorrow. So it's going to be a nice day, actually, but it's going to be a bit windy for a goodly portion of it. The winds start to back off later in the afternoon. Tomorrow's daytime high around 12 or 13 degrees, so seasonal numbers.
Yeah, we won't talk about Sunday or Monday.
No, Sunday. And Sunday, just a reminder that Wildwood, Silverwood, and Holiday Park golf courses are wrapping up on Sunday.
All right. Well, one of our very talented photographers, Dale Cooper, was out and about capturing some images of fall in and around Saskatoon. So we're going to leave you with some of that tonight. Have a safe and happy weekend. Thanks for watching.
He's a poet, too. He did a poem about all of these pictures, and I'll share it with you on Monday.
Okay, that's a deal.